Hey everyone, welcome to My Wife the Dietitian, a weekly podcast about lifestyle and healthy eating. I'm Rob, and together with my wife Sandra, we invite you to join us on this informative yet entertaining journey through the complex world of healthy eating.
We'll cover everything but the kitchen sink. Each week we'll discuss topics ranging from how to protect yourself from developing cancer, spicy foods to rev up the libido, to caring for your palliative grandfather with Alzheimer's.
We'll also delve into more complex issues like, what the heck is oat milk? Why doesn't my butt fit into these jeans? And every guy's favorite question, will eating spinach really make it bigger? Plus, we'll learn what all those big words on the food labels mean. Each episode will tap into Sandra's vast expertise and extensive knowledge as a registered dietitian.
After practicing as a registered dietitian for 23 years, you'd think I'd know what I'm talking about. I've learned some pearls of wisdom through connecting with thousands of people. Any case from prenatal to patients surviving their journey through aggressive cancer treatment, I've worked with a multitude of different clients.
Join us each week as we strive to educate, enlighten, and entertain you. When did milk get so confusing? When I was a kid, there was one section in the dairy case for milk, and you had three options. You had your homo milk, otherwise known as homogenized or whole milk. You had your 2%, and for the health nuts, there was skim milk. Nowadays, it seems you can squeeze milk out of just about anything. You can get it from a cow, you can get it from a goat, you can get it from a can, and even from an oat. There's hemp milk, rice milk, organic milk and cream, soy almond buttermilk, booby milk, and steamed. You can milk a macadamia, a peanut, or a plant. You can squeeze it out of quinoa or get it whole or 1%. Raw powdered coconut and even gluten-free, hazelnut, chocolate, and sometimes from a pea. Going to the store for milk is a complex endeavor these days. Thankfully, my wife, the dietitian, is here to help us make sense of it all. So, Sandra, is it just me, or is milk gotten a lot more confusing?
Yeah, I know. It's there's so many more options in the grocery store now. Like the whole dairy case is just...
Well, it's a dairy section now. Actually, there's two sections, because there's an organic section with all sorts of types of milk alternatives, and then there's the regular dairy. What changed? Why is there so many?
That's a really good question. They are becoming more popular and definitely more widely available, all in different stores, not just the health food stores, but in regular grocery stores.
You mean like milk alternatives are becoming popular?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, there's many reasons that people start drinking these. Some people are on certain diets, or they're following a plant-based, like vegetarian lifestyle, and they just are kind of eliminating dairy. And so, yeah, but they're not created equal.
A lot of the ones that I mentioned in the intro, I had no idea that they even existed. I mean, almond milk seems to be pretty popular. Is that...
Yeah, actually, you're right. That's the most popular alternative to cow's milk, is almond milk, which is kind of interesting because it's actually not the best plant-based alternative milk to choose at all.
Oh, okay.
No, almond milk is very low in protein, and it requires a ton of water to produce.
Because regular cow's milk is high in protein, typically.
Yeah, it's actually a really good source of protein. There's 8 grams of protein in a cup of regular cow's milk.
Oh, wow.
In a cup of almond milk, there's 1 gram of protein.
Oh, well, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and you'd think, it's a nut milk. You'd think that, nuts have protein, but actually the almond milk has very little protein. And as I mentioned before about the water, 80% of the almonds are grown in California, and that's like in the summer, drought problems with California. And a lot of the farmers growing the almonds actually use pesticides. So a lot of the almond milk out there that we drink have these residues of pesticides, and That's not good.
No, I don't like eating pesticides myself.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, ripple effects. It's not just on, well, definitely human health, but they're pollinator disruptors, the pesticides. And also then, we can have problems with more risk of reproductive and neurological problems. So long-term health risks of pesticides. So that's not good.
That is true. There's so many things to think about.
Yeah, well, and so if people are very adamant about having almond milk because they like the flavor or that's the one they want, buy organic, because then you are not getting the pesticides. And the other option is making homemade nut milk with soaking the almonds, and you can find some information online about making homemade almond milk.
I don't think that's something that I'm going to be doing anytime soon. It seems like a whole lot of work. I remember watching our friend make peanut butter. It's like, buddy, it's not that expensive to buy a jar of peanut butter. It seemed like it was like a 4-hour project and then another hour to clean out the blender.
You kill me. That's so true, eh?
Yeah, but hey, fill your boots if that's your thing. It seems like it's an option. I'm guessing it would take a few almonds though to get milk out of, like, to squeeze the milk out of the almond or pressing it, or I don't actually know how you get milk out of an almond, but I would think you'd need a lot of almonds.
Yeah, you soak them, and it takes a ton of water. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So what are the other varieties or alternatives, and is there any that are better than almond milk?
Well, that's a good question. Basically, there's differences with all the different plant-based alternatives. So many are fortified with calcium and vitamin D, which is a good thing. That's probably what you want. But also some have added sugars and flavors. So it's good to read the labels on any kind of, well, all food, basically.
Always read the label. That we'll probably have to do an episode on that.
Absolutely.
Because that's kind of like a different language for most people, I think.
Yeah, it's like you have to have a math degree just to figure out the daily value percentages. And
no doubt.
But anyway, let's talk about oat milk.
Let's talk about oat milk.
Because
you've got to get your oats in you.
Yeah, that was in your intro. That was hilarious. What the heck is oat milk? Well, it's kind of funny because that's what we drink, right?
That's what I said when you brought it home. I'm like, what? Oat milk? The heck is oat milk?
It sounds kind of like the creamy residue after your oatmeal. It's like, oh, what is that? But it's actually quite good. It is creamy. And it is a good alternative for people that are allergic to nuts or dairy. And it has more protein than almond milk or coconut milk. So there's 4 grams of protein in a cup of oat milk versus the 1 gram in almond milk. And it's got a little bit of fiber in there.
Fiber?
Yeah.
In your milk. Well, it's from the oats.
That's right. You know how good oats are for heart health.
I do, because I'm married to a dietitian.
That's right. Okay. Yes. So anyways, that's the oat milk is a good option for people. But watch if it's got added sugars, because some oat milk has added sugars and some are just the natural no added sugars. So
I noticed when shopping for these, there's options. There's sweetened, there's unsweetened, there's flavors. So you're suggesting to get the unsweetened?
I'm suggesting look at the label.
Oh, yeah, but I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, but, okay, so there's the front label where it's like there's a claims unsweetened or vanilla or a different flavor. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at the side panel, the nutrition facts and the ingredients, so the actual like list of what's in that product, the first thing listed is what's most in that product. So if there's anything sugar related, like with ose as the end of the word, like glucose or fructose, OSE, then that's going to be some sort of sugar. So do you really want to be just drinking a bunch of sugar?
Well, me, no. Some people would probably answer that a little differently, but we'll help with their issues later.
Absolutely.
So read the label, and we're looking for something that has not a lot of sugar.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and everybody's different in terms of what their aim is when they're drinking their milk. So some people...
There's a few ways I could take that. Anyway, carry on.
Okay.
What's your goal with drinking milk?
Well, I mean, some people use it for calcium and vitamin D and protein.
Some people bathe in it. Right?
Yeah.
Some people bathe in it and they like put flowers all over them and take pictures and put it on Instagram. I don't know anyone that's done that myself. But I've heard that's a thing to do.
You're funny. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, okay. So we've talked about almond milk and we've talked about oat milk. So the next one is soy milk.
Oh, right. Soy milk.
So soy milk actually offers the highest amount of protein per cup. And it contributes protective isoflavones for heart health. So those are phytochemicals that are actually really protective and good plant chemicals, and they come from soy. And it's actually interesting because soy and hemp, which is the next one we're going to talk about, are both nitrogen fixing plants. So they're really good for the soil. So you don't need the pesticides like you do with almond milk.
Oh, I see. Like how they're grown.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, soy is a good alternative to dairy. Some people don't like the idea of the hormonal effects of the soy. It's in the isoflavones. But basically 2 servings of soy a day is considered safe. So it shouldn't be a problem if you're just having, soy milk once in a while, or just,
I'm not going to grow man boobs or anything. Okay. I think that's sort of a concern with guys is there's estrogen in soy, isn't there? Or is that, am I correct?
That's a good question. It's actually, it's a phytoestrogen. It's a chemical that mimics estrogen. So there's some things, it's interesting what happens because women that have had breast cancer, they shouldn't have too much of it. Like you shouldn't be taking soy supplements or isoflavone supplements, but you can still drink 1 or 2 cups of soy milk without it being a problem. But anyways, that's why I think there's been a lot of press around the hormonal effects of soy. And so people have just said, I'm not even going to have it at all. Right. But it's actually, it's okay to have a little bit.
Okay. Good to know. So it's a good thing we're here talking about this because I know I'm confused about a lot of stuff and I'm married to a dietitian and I'm still confused. So maybe I'll actually learn some stuff from this too.
Maybe. Well, you won't grow man boobs. So
no,
that's
hopefully no man boobs. Okay, so carry on. We're on to soy milk. What's
well, the one last thing with the soy milk would be to aim for the organic variety again, because it's just better because less pesticides and more sustainable growing. So, and actually, soy milk for men who want to prevent prostate cancer or are going through prostate cancer treatment, then they can actually take 2 cups a day safely. There's been studies that show that is okay and may be helpful.
Like recommended almost.
Yeah. Calcium, vitamin D, good source of protein. Soy milk has excellent level of protein. It's similar to dairy milk, so 8 grams of protein in a cup. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
All right. So what are some other alternatives? We covered a lot in the intro there. I guess they can all be, well, you said hemp milk, I think.
Yeah, that's the next one. Exactly. Where is that grown?
Hemp milk. On the deck in a big pot.
Not on our deck, but primarily grown and harvested in Canada.
On the neighbors in BC.
Yeah, exactly.
BC hemp.
Yeah, it is definitely more of a local for us living in Pacific Northwest. Hemp, there's hemp plants in Canada, and it's definitely becoming more available. So you can get it in most grocery stores.
It seems like it's becoming more recognized and acceptable too. And you don't get high from hemp. I don't know if people should know that by now, but there's no like THC in the hemp. So
in the hemp milk, no, exactly.
You don't need to drink it out of a pipe or anything. Oh, you could, I suppose. No,
there's no THC in hemp milk or in hemp hearts, which are a different topic that we'll talk about one day. It's hemp hearts are the fiber, like a nutty little
powder
seed.
Almost.
Well, they're little seeds.
Yeah.
They're like a flaxseed or chia seed. But hemp hearts or the hemp seeds also are really good, actually high in protein and have the omega-3 fatty acids, are an excellent food to enjoy. And, it's the hemp milk is one of the better ones in terms of plant alternatives. So,
oh, really?
It's similar to oat milk in terms of the amount of protein.
Oh, we should try that. We should do a like a blind taste test with a few different ones and see. I'd like to see if you could pick them out and just to try. Yeah,
well, I've kind of done that. I mean, we had pea milk one time.
Pea milk?
Yeah. And, it's funny. I thought, I wonder what that's going to taste like. And in a cup, just drinking it straight, not great. Like oat milk, I can definitely drink just straight. But, and soy milk, definitely. Mm-hmm. The other ones are more for in the tea or in the coffee or with cereal.
Yeah.
For me, anyways.
It's kind of like tofu. It's not great on its own, but if you mix it with your meal, it's a good addition.
That's exactly. Yeah, for sure. The one other milk, the last one that I want to talk about, because it is pretty popular over the last 10 years, I'd say, and it's tasty, but it's actually not a really great milk alternative, is coconut milk.
Oh, I was going to guess. That wasn't what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
I was going to guess rice milk.
Oh,
that's been around for a while too, and it kind of is one of those things that made me think, what, rice milk? How do you make milk from rice? Anyway, I think we've covered that concept. So coconut milk you wanted to talk about.
Well, just let's backtrack a little bit to the rice milk, because that is a good one. It is very low in protein also, and it does also, you'd want organic because of the pesticides. It's good. It's the best one for people that have lots of allergies.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
Because people might have allergies to dairy, to soy, possibly to oat, although that is not one that I hear about. But yeah, rice milk is kind of the least allergenic, but it's kind of like watery, like doesn't have much protein. So,
right.
But coconut,
fresh from the coconut.
that nice thing that you put in pina coladas. And,
oh, right.
Yeah. But for a beverage, if you're weighing the odds in terms of the benefits and, pros and cons of each plant-based alternative, the coconut milk is actually not great. It has pretty much virtually no protein, and it has saturated fats. So those people that are concerned about heart disease or have to watch how much saturated fats they're taking in over the day, coconut milk has a little bit of that. And then also, you think of where coconuts come from.
Trees.
Not in Canada.
What?
And,
well, they're not from Canada, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. You think of the carbon footprint, and, you think of they're transported from the Philippines, Indonesia, India, And yeah, it's actually they're not very sustainable because of where they're getting harvest in the tropical regions. So that's another aspect that I don't think people think about when they buy coconut milk.
I agree. I was thinking, well, with all of these, it's how often do you think about where it came from, especially with something like milk? I think we're used to doing that with meat, maybe where our meat's grown, but milk, I think you don't think of where the cow was, or where the almond was grown that made your almond milk. So
exactly,
yeah, that's a good point to, especially since there's so many options. You can choose one that's a bit more friendly to the planet.
Totally. Absolutely. That's exactly the point. I agree. And it's always good to kind of look back at, okay, where did this piece of food or this drink that I'm consuming, where did it originate? Where did it come from? Because it might take a long time to get here from its original place it was started.
And like we said, it's there are lots of options nowadays, so you should be able to find something that's local.
Absolutely.
Another question I have is, as far as reading the label with milk or milk alternatives, what is it we should be looking for? Like what's important? What nutrients do we want to get from milk?
Good question. I think protein is the big one. We want to make sure we're getting some protein. And with milk, historically, the reason that people drink dairy milk or any milk is to get that calcium, good for your bones and your teeth, and vitamin D. So with the plant-based alternatives, those usually are fortified, like most, but some are not fortified. So that's the basic minimum, is you want to make sure that they have some fortification of calcium and vitamin D.
Good to know. Why don't we just talk a little bit about coffee creamers and stuff like that too, because it's such a big industry with all the coffee shops and specialty coffees and all that, and there's a lot of cream milk based products in those. Is there anything that we should be wary of?
Well, that's a really good question, because the fact that, I mean, there's a lot of debate about, is coffee or tea good for us? And actually more and more evidence is suggesting that yes, and this is going into another topic that we can talk on another podcast about. But the fact that, yes, okay, coffee or tea is good for us, but then what do? We like double it up like crazy, and then it's actually more like a pop or a soda. Like you're adding so much sugar and fat to it to make it taste good that it kind of negates all the good benefit of the coffee or tea that's in it. So that's a good question that you mentioned.
It's like salads, I guess. You have this healthy salad and then you throw a bunch of ranch dressing on it and it all goes out the window.
It, yeah.
Yeah. So if I want to put cream in my coffee, what's a good healthy option?
Well, probably just keep it to a minimum of whatever you're going to do. Like if you like it sweet and like with the sugar and the cream, then, just watch how much you're using, and use maybe real cream or milk, if you like that. Or if you're into oat milk or all the milks that we talked about, you can use those for flavoring your coffee or tea. So it really depends on your taste, but just remember that those creamers that you buy, think of how they're processed and what's in them, because a lot of times they have a lot of saturated fats, and
there's nothing actually real in them.
Not much.
A lot of them taste like they're
like that vanilla cream and the International Delights is kind of like it's almost like, well, it's like the Coffee Mate almost, but it's liquid.
Yeah. And
just there's nothing really good about it except the taste, which for some people,
well, they taste awesome, but I think they're a lot of chemical flavors, which obviously isn't good.
Yeah, exactly.
So it looks like we've covered most of the things we wanted to talk about today. Is there anything else that you wanted to kind of wrap up with?
Yeah, I guess when people go into this grocery store and they're looking for their milk or plant-based alternative, they'll have things to consider, and looking at the label to compare apples to apples or milks to milks.
Milk to milk.
and think of where it's originating from, and think of the carbon footprint of that milk.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today. I'm sure everyone appreciates it. And we will talk more next time.
Thanks, Rob.
All right. Thanks for joining us today on My Wife, the Dietitian. If you like what you heard, don't be shy. Leave us a comment or review, and be sure to share our podcast with your friends. If you'd like to hear more, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on our social media pages for updates, episode trailers, and other odds and ends. For more info and links on what we discussed on today's episode, check the show notes. We'll be back next week with another informative and fun-filled episode.